Have you ever thought, I just need to eat less and work out more, only to feel bloated, exhausted, and frustrated after a few weeks, maybe even after a few days? Hi, I'm Kobe. I'm a fitness and nutrition coach for women, especially in their 40s and beyond. And I'm here to tell you why this approach of eating less isn't helping you lose weight after 40 and certainly not helping you feel your best. And then we're going to talk about what to do instead. So the calories in and calories out method is the most common and most prominent way to lose weight. It's what we've all done in our 20s, in our 30s, and what we've probably also tried in your 40s, maybe even in your 50s, and then realizing it's not working in the same way. It's not feeling good. It's not giving me the results I want. And potentially it's even giving you the opposite results to what you want. Maybe you're noticing that you're actually gaining more weight. Plus, you're starving. You've got cravings, you're cranky, you're hungry, and it just feels terrible. So this is not a sustainable method, is it? This doesn't feel good, and this isn't something that we can keep doing long term. Well, if you're in your 40s or maybe you're in your 50s, you've been trying this and it's not working, there is reasons for that. There is physiological reasons why this doesn't work, and I'm here to shed a little light on that for you. Hormonal changes after 40 affect how our body uses calories or uses energy. Calories is a unit of energy, so I like to use those words interchangeably. Calories or energy or fuel, it all means the same to me. So after age 40, your metabolism becomes less responsive to calorie restriction. I will say that because calories are energy, we do only need to consume what our body's going to use. However, by excessively restricting those calories, excessively restricting the food that you're eating, has potentially an opposite effect with these hormonal changes. So in our 40s, estrogen and progesterone, which are the two main female sex hormones, those levels decrease over time. First, in our early 40s and our mid 40s, the progesterone decreases. And then later on in our 40s and our later 40s, the estrogen decreases. And then by our 50s, that menopause transition is closer to being finished. Menopause is almost happening at this point at 50, 51, 52. Estrogen and progesterone levels are significantly decreased because the ovaries are no longer producing them. Instead, the adrenal glands are producing them at a much smaller rate. So because of the lower estrogen and progesterone levels, metabolism is decreased, and this changes how your body burns fuel. So instead of burning stored fat, as it used to easily transition in 20s and 30s, instead of burning that stored fat, your body may actually hold onto it because it's perceiving this calorie restriction, this severe calorie restriction, as stress, which then raises the cortisol levels. And when cortisol, because it's also produced in the adrenal glands. When cortisol is being increased by the adrenal glands, the progesterone and estrogen are not being produced because the body will prioritize cortisol instead. And therefore, this whole cycle of extreme restriction, extreme hunger, holding the fat instead of burning it becomes just something that continues. The second reason is due to the muscle loss. Muscle loss will slow metabolism down as well. So muscle is what we call metabolically active, which means that it uses calories or uses energy even while at rest. So your muscle mass, even while you're sleeping or sitting on the couch, is still using energy. And this is what we call metabolically active. After 40, though, we naturally start to, it can even happen in our late 30s, can naturally start to lose muscle mass. Our body naturally, just that muscle mass declines. This will continue unless we actively rebuild it. And to rebuild it, we need to use it. We need to do some strength training, which I actually talk about in a different video. So you can check that one out. It's coming out next week to do with more specific fitness in our 40s. For now, though, we need to recognize that our muscle mass is decreasing. Therefore, we need to rebuild it actively. And in order to do that, we need strength training and we need protein. So protein is key. That's part of this nutrition that I'm going to talk about in the next couple of slides. So if you're eating less without building your muscle, then your body may actually use your muscle as fuel. And because it's not getting the fuel it needs from the food, it will use your muscle, which further decreases the mass and then slows down your metabolism even further. So as we get into our 40s and beyond, I always like to let my clients know that we need to see a shift in the way that we see food and nutrition. So, for those of us in our 20s and 30s that were constantly thinking about weight loss or about how we can eat less, we saw food as something that was, we needed to eat it, but it seemed more of an annoyance rather than something to support us instead. So we need to actually create a shift here. This is something that took me some time, but now I really can see food as something that is functional, and the way that we need to see it now, instead of just purely for weight loss and restriction, is to see it as a way of balancing our hormones, supporting our energy, and fueling our brain. And when we can see food in this way and build plates of our meals in this way, then we're going to feel better on a foundational level. And then weight loss, if that's what we're after, will just become a natural byproduct of these things. So when we can build a plate that supports us in these ways, balancing hormones, supporting energy, and fueling our brain, weight loss becomes a thing that naturally happens because we're supporting the hormones, which then makes sense that our insulin, which is I can get into that in a different video, but our insulin is our storage hormone, is our food-based hormone through when we eat. It's going to be supported. So that's one of the main hormones that's going to be supported through food. Cortisol is going to be supported through food. And it sounds very complicated, but in the next slide, I'll show you how it can be super easy as you're building your plate to help with these three things. And then as a happy byproduct with the weight loss as well. So these three simple tweaks are going to be what supports you in terms of your nutrition and of your food. So the three things that we want to look at most importantly are balancing blood sugar, which essentially balances insulin and then helps the other hormones balance as well, to have a protein, making sure we're eating enough protein to support the muscles, and then ditching that severe restriction mindset. So with the blood sugar balance, we can create a plate, whether that is for a full meal or a snack, including protein, fiber, and a healthy fat at every single meal is going to be key here. So by building this plate, it's going to naturally support the hormone balance, which is then going to help everything else as a domino effect or a ripple effect. As a part of that plate, protein needs to be a high priority here. So ensuring that we have enough protein will help support the metabolism and the muscle that we're working on building or maintaining in the body, which in turn helps the metabolism. As we learned on the previous slide, muscle is metabolically active. So the more muscle we can keep on the body, the more we're going to have our metabolism working for us throughout the day, whether we're active or at rest. There are different sources of protein, of course. You can have plant-based sources of protein, you can have animal-based, but as long as you're getting enough protein in there. And I like to give a bit of a tactical way to make sure that you're getting enough protein at each meal. So when you're building a plate for whatever meal it is, using your fist as a guideline as to how much you're getting. So you can actually open up your fist, look at your palm, and if you're getting like a heaping palm full of whatever your protein source is, that's going to be a good indicator that you're getting a good amount. When it comes down to the fiber, that can come from whole grains, that can also come from vegetables. And I always like to remind my clients to create half a plate with the vegetables of a variety of different colors, a variety of different sources. I never want to force feed anybody a vegetable that they don't like. Luckily for us, there are dozens of vegetables out there that we can go for. If you don't like something, I don't like kale personally, don't eat that thing. There are plenty of vegetables that you can get the vitamins and the fiber that you need from a wide variety of things you actually like. Or if you don't actually like them, you tolerate them, but don't force feed anything that you think is disgusting. So that's a good place to get the fiber from. That's going to help all sorts of different hormone things as well, liver support. I get a little more into that in a free program that I'm offering in the next couple of weeks, which I'll talk to you about in a moment. But I just wanted to give you a real brief, tangible method to use here. So protein, fiber, and a healthy fat at every meal, making sure we get enough protein throughout the day. And the main thing, which is the opposite of what we've always been told, is to ditch the restriction, ditch the extremes, and go for an 80-20. So we always think, if we eat all healthy food all the time, it's going to be the best. And yes, on paper, that is the best. However, it is not sustainable. We'll do this, and you've probably experienced this at one point or another. You'll dive into that extreme, and it will last maybe, if you're lucky, for a few weeks, more likely for 1 week. And then you're like, well, I just want a handful of chocolate. I just want some chips. I just want a glass of wine. There's things that I want. And then you fall off eating healthy. I like to incorporate both into every day. So this is where the 80-20 approach comes in. If we can embrace 80% of what we're eating to be whole foods, foods that we consider to support us in a healthy way, and then 20% for enjoyment and sustainability. So 80% nourishment, 20% enjoyment. And they both can fit in. If you've got that foundation of nourishment, those enjoyment things can come in, those enjoyment food and drink can come in, and you can still reach your goal. As much as we say, oh, we can't. Yes, because that's going to be what creates the sustainability, that creates this is how you can live. We're not after fad diets or quick fixes, because those also aren't sustainable. We want to create a lifestyle where we can eat and drink in ways that support us and are sustainable because we're actually enjoying what we're doing. So I just wanted to touch on those real quick and then let you know that I have a free fitness and nutrition experience that's coming up at the end of April. So if you want to know more about this, if you want to learn more about how you can support yourself through movement and through food, especially in your 40s and beyond, then I invite you to sign up for this. The link is in the description. Sign up for this free event. You'll get more information on how to incorporate food and movement into your life in a sustainable way. It is a way that you can customize how it works for you in this phase of life. So you'll learn more about fitness, you'll learn more about nutrition, and you'll learn about how to create a plan that's going to work for you moving forward, that can not feel like it's extreme, but can feel like it's something that is doable for the long term. I have clients that I've been working with for 1, 2, 3 years, and they're able to continue doing these things because it is sustainable. It is even enjoyable. Dare I say it's enjoyable. I will next week talk about a fitness element, how fitness can support you in your 40s, and how it's not all about extreme workouts. It's another way we can ditch the extremes, but it's about how you can move and do fitness in ways that are going to support you in your 40s and beyond. So I invite you to check out the link for Jumpstart Your Vitality in the description, and I hope you'll join us. Bye for now.